Okay, folks, welcome back to today's edition of Notre Dame Daily. Camp underway, and we'll start to really analyze that as the next month continues, leading up to the August 31st Sunday night opener against the Miami Hurricanes in Coral Gables. We'll start really getting into that at the end of this week. Today, I want to start with some more good news. Both Irish star linebacker Drake Bowen and phenom sophomore corner Leonard Moore have been named to the 2025 Bronco Nagurski Trophy watch list for the upcoming season, which is a big deal, yes, for the program, but individually for these young men. And based on their recent success on the gridiron, they're both beyond worthy of being placed on this prestigious list. Bowen started all 16 games for ND last season, 78 total tackles, 40 individual, 3 forced fumbles. A real catalyst, as we know, in guiding that Irish defense that was fast and aggressive under then defensive coordinator Al Golden, who, of course, now is the DC with the Cincinnati Bengals in the NFL. And as we know, Leonard Moore, one of the top freshmen in America last season, named to the FWAA Freshman Defensive Player of the Year last season, 48 tackles, 2 picks, 10 pass breakups. That's the real thing that stands out for me. Across 10 starts, you had 2 guys last year on a really good defense that sort of paved the way, and Moore stepped up in a big way, particularly when Benjamin Morrison went down as a nice pairing with Christian Gray there. This was the Notre Dame defense from top to bottom that was ranked inside the top 5 in multiple defensive categories last season. You had first in pass efficiency, first in defensive touchdowns, and scoring defense overall was 4th. With less than 15 points a game surrendered. Bowen and Moore, obviously massive parts of that success, and much more through this season is expected from both of them, as well as the Irish defense as a whole, which is, of course, now under the direction of first-year defensive coordinator Chris Ash. So a big deal for Drake Bowen and Leonard Moore ahead of the August 31st start date for the 2025-26 season. Want to continue the player spotlights, and again, I appreciate the feedback. Love some of the conversation that has been going back and forth about yesterday's profile player, Anthony Knapp. In Shrout, we know we've got a 6'4", 305 bruiser, originally from Wisconsin. Career in South Bend began in 22, but didn't really start to see that consistent playing time until his redshirt Frosh campaign in 2023. He took over toward the end of that season at the right guard position as a starter, and it really just catapulted him from there. But last season, as we saw, is where Shrout really started to let it be known that he was a serious player on this Irish offensive line. Started each game he played in, mostly at guard, and was a key cog, really in paving the way for the terrifying Irish rushing attack, which is a different animal since he's been in that consistent rotation. Now, entering the upcoming season, Shrout is viewed by many as one to watch when it comes to All-America teams. ESPN's got him as a preseason second-team All-American, which is a big deal. And you think about the leadership he'll bring to yet another talented offensive line. Notre Dame, the entire group, may be the best in the country. That can't be ignored because while Strouth is a phenomenal interior protector and run blocker, the level of consistency he brings to the gridiron, coupled with that experience gained over previous seasons, is something the entire group can lean on. That's huge. In case you can't tell, I'm a big Billy Strouth candidate. Who now, when you look at it, an Outland Trophy preseason edition, he's already viewed as one of the premier interior linemen in America. And you know Notre Dame is boasting an unreal group. Even when you think about the absence of Charles Jagasaw for X amount of time, Gerby Lambert working his way back from a spring injury, he's ready to go for camp. Billy Strouth has been a monster part of the success of this offensive line from left to right. And here's the fun part, and why I really love Billy Strouth. He does bring that brand of toughness and grit to this Irish offensive line. But let's say, and we've been having some fun with this back and forth in the chats the last couple days. Let's say there's a world where the Irish offensive line opens the season with the front 5 different from what we expect. And what we expect, of course, probably now, I would say, Anthony Knapp at left tackle, Billy Strouth at left guard, Ashton Craig up the gut, Sullivan Absher starts at right guard, and preseason All-American Emil Wagner at right tackle. Okay, if you were going to predict what you thought your offensive line to start the season would be today, you could have a difference of opinion. That's what I'm sort of getting into. But that would probably be the leader in the clubhouse from a group of 5 left to right. Now, perhaps tinkering in camp gives Joe Rudolph a look at a different O-line, something along these lines. You have freshman 5-star Will Black at left tackle, Schrouth still at left guard, Craig at center, Anthony Knapp now moving to right guard. Many within the program view him as a premier interior lineman. As great as he was, and I talked about it yesterday, at left tackle during the season, especially not surrendering sacks in his final 9 games down the stretch. That's huge. When you think about some of the premier programs Notre Dame played, that was a big deal. But perhaps there is a future where Anthony Knapp excels and continues to grow into that All-American, not at left tackle, but at guard. I like him at left tackle, just like many of you do, but I think there is a big push that we might see him at guard in the future. So if you were looking at potentially a change there, left tackle, Will Black, Schrouth at left guard, Craig at center, now Knapp at right guard, and of course Wagner at right tackle. The focus there is we still see Billy Schrouth, regardless, as one of the single most essential parts of this unit, and that's huge. The Irish run game is just different with Billy Schrouth in the mix. Over the past few seasons, this is an Irish run game that has averaged well over 200 yards per game and over 5 yards per carry past 2 seasons. Consistent piece, Billy Schrouth. Camp, which opens today, another great look is going to be given at how the coaches view the future of this incredible offensive line group. And that is spearheaded in part by a tremendous asset in Billy Schrouth. You've got the veteran leadership, you've got the agility. He's just the brute, grit, tough guy that can really make an offensive line. You talk about guys like Ashton Craig, and we'll continue to go into the entire offensive line, how we see it developing. Does conventional wisdom with the starting offensive line have Sullivan Absher starting the season at right guard? He'll probably get the first crack there. But Will Black, who's an absolute stud, came in with all the bells and whistles as one of the highest ranked recruits in the country, 5-star kid. Does he get thrown right into the mix? I know a lot of people are left uncomfortable with that, saying, wow, you're going to go on a road, Miami, brand new rookie left tackle, first time starting quarterback, regardless of whether it's Carr or Minchie. That's something we'll obviously get into as well, discussion-wise, with camp opening. There's a lot of conversations we can have. There's a lot of fun we could have, depending on how you view the future of Anthony Knapp. And I think that the nice thing here, though, with this Notre Dame offensive line, I think the comfortability comes from you've got Emil Wagner at the end on the right side of that line, your rock center, Ashton Craig, and then Billy Schrouth. Having that trio there to lead the way with a budding star in Anthony Knapp, who will continue to get better, and then good depth and young depth, maybe some unproven depth, but good nonetheless and strong. These are great problems to have, and it's going to be fun to see how Joe Rudolph and company kind of play with this as they continue to go through camp. But I think right now, if Anthony Knapp does in fact open up at starting left tackle, Billy Schrouth is the perfect person to have next to him at left guard. It just, folks, does not get any better than that. You're looking potentially at a couple of All-Americans on this offensive line, which, folks, a lot of teams in America, good as they are, simply do not have. And as we wrap today, I love the back and forth. I love getting also just not your take on the program, but some of the things that you really do enjoying when you go out to South Bend, all right? We talk about having this program be a different brand of Fighting Irish football. Yeah, we're going to get the news in there. We're going to get the player breakdowns. I get it. You're going to get my 2 cents on things from conversations I have with people who are even more in the know than I am. But it's also fun to get to know you guys as the ones who are subscribing and following and really catapulting this thing to greater successes from when we were in the ground up when we started in May. So yesterday, the talk was centered around your favorite restaurant spots while visiting South Bend on Notre Dame football weekends. Today, I'd love to know what your game day or Irish weekend traditions are, either in South Bend or from afar. But first, I told you yesterday I'd give you my top restaurants that I like to go to when I'm in South Bend, so here they are. Based on the opening comments, you probably assumed yesterday that Fiddler's Hearth is one of them, and that's accurate, all right? The food's great, yes, but the atmosphere is even better. You never meet an unfriendly face and generally run into people, especially with me having a wide base here in New York, people that you know. I made a lot of friends in South Bend over the years, and we often like to spend some time at Fiddler's. If you want a nice sit-down, gentlemen, more romantic meal, if you will, I love Carmela's. Conveniently catty corner to Corby's, so you can go right across the street after if you desire. Food's off the charts, as is the environment. If you haven't been, I highly recommend it. And in addition to Carmela's, you want another spot to take your wife, girlfriend, mom. LaSalle Grill on West Colfax is fantastic. Look, you want to be the adult in the room if you just want to toss a couple back and talk Irish sports. You got legends on campus, Corby's, the linebacker, Rocco's, which has pretty good pizza, but being a New Yorker, I'm particular there, and the Bend. Those are all some fun places to kick back. So for today, again, I want to hear your favorite game day traditions. What do you like to do? What do you want to see? What do you do? What don't you do when you're in South Bend on campus or even from afar? The program stretches the country. So let's hear from you. It's all about you. I'll dish on mine tomorrow, so I will leave you with that. It's a great day. Camp's going to open on Thursday the 31st, so it's underway. We've got a month before the opener, August 31st. Irish, Canes, nostalgia takes over. Going to be a fun one, and we've got plenty of time to talk about it leading up to. More player profiles coming your way, more conversation, more debate, more banter. I love it all. Thank you for everything. Hope you enjoy the rest of yours from wherever you may be. And as always, go Irish.